All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about one last time. I'm going to talk about Brian Howe, formerly of Bad Company, the late great Brian Howe, because there was no acknowledgement, as far as I can tell, at the Hall of Fame or anywhere on social media about Brian Howe other than his own Facebook page. And so I'm going to just do one last video about this. And I get it. It's just, I'm beating a dead horse, but I feel as though I need to do it. And doing what I do in real time for a few people out here, just like you there and just like me here. If you do want to support this channel, it's not mandatory. This is not begging. I get accused of begging. Like, please give me money. No. If you want to support the channel, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you do support the channel, there are several ways that you can do it. Patreon, buy me a coffee, YouTube memberships, and PJ Rock super chats. All right. So with that out of the way, one last time for Brian Howe. So Brian Howe was not mentioned at the Hall of Fame induction, as I kind of predicted, because Simon Kirk, who was the only guy there representing the original band, he never liked Brian Howe and has only kind of reconciled their relationship in a recent interview, sort of. Okay, I'll say that. Basically admitting that Brian was good at what he did, but it wasn't really Bad Company, what they did. And a lot of people say you should have called it something else. I don't know if it would have been successful. See, brand names are really important to organizations. And you did have other guys in the band. Remember, Bad Company also had Robert Hart after Brian left. Robert Hart came in, who sounds like Paul Rogers, and he did a bang up job when he was there. They sounded really good, and that's the kind of Bad Company music they really wanted to do. They didn't want to do this new arena rock, kind of sounds like Foreigner or Journey or something that wasn't the original sound of Bad Company. I get that. But there were a lot of fans who really enjoyed that version of Bad Company, much like Chicago with Jason Scheff and Bill Champlin. People really liked that version of Chicago. And so I don't think you should ignore Bill or Jason, but they did. Jason was there. He didn't get inducted. He spent 30 years with the band, and he didn't get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just he's out there on stage. They did the same thing with Arnell and Journey, right? Same thing. He's going to be the guy performing the music, but he's not going to get induced, right? But Ainsley Dunbar is going to get thrown into the Hall of, and Ainsley deserves it. But there are a lot of injustices all over the place, and I just think it's weird. They pretty much disappeared Brian Howe prior to his death. Like, who? Who's Brian Howe? We don't know who he is. We're not going to play any of that music. Holy Water? Nah, that's a stupid song. We're not going to play it. No Smoke Without a Fire? Who wants to hear that? Well, some people want to hear it, and you could have done both. I think before Brian passed, I had this idea that Brian could go out with Bad Company and basically open up for them and play all of the Bad Company music that he recorded with the band, and then just get off the stage and have Paul Rogers and his crew out there. That would have been amazing. Never happened. Brian thought it was a good idea because I was texting him back and forth at the time, and I'm thinking, dude, you're just so good still. I mean, people need to hear you. I mean, he was creating new stuff that was really good at the time. Not too long before he passed away, he had a couple of tracks that he had recorded, and his voice was still like right at 1988 levels. You know what I mean? I mean, too many of these guys go downhill and they pretend they're not going downhill. Brian knew that he could still bring it, and he wasn't bragging like this guy over here shouldn't sing anymore. He's like, no, I'm going to make some more music because this is what I do. And he knew he sounded great still. But a lot of, after a while, after 20 or 30 years of waiting for stuff to happen and this industry shifting so radically in the 90s. And yeah, I do blame the grunge thing, but I also blame record labels for not allowing everything to just coexist. That's what I've said. I mean, if you like the dark side of music, you should be able to listen to it. If you like the fun side of music, the melodic side of music, you should be able to listen to it. It should all just come together. But now we've got all of the streaming platforms. And so everything just got wrecked. After that, that was the first stage. And then the second stage was all of the Napster and Spotify. And here we are. It's just a great place, right? I mean, there are some good things about this. Sometimes the algorithm can be your friend and you'll find something that you wouldn't have found. But there's so much to find, right? Because nobody is putting it out there to make it easy for you to find. It's more like you find it on your own. Anyway, getting back to Brian Howe, who was a great singer and a good guy. He loved pets too, by the way. He was always very charitable to animals and told people to take care of their animal and so forth, whether it was a dog or a cat or I remember he was just very humane when it came to animals, and he's definitely missed. He was a good soul and a great singer, and I'll tell you what, I'll take Dangerous Age or Holy Water or Here Comes Trouble. I would take those three albums over a lot of other music that came from that particular era, because you can listen to those records from start to finish. There aren't bad songs. There may be slightly better songs, but everything kind of jives together really well. And that was the brilliance of Brian Howe and I think the producer Terry Thomas, who just did a killer job making that stuff. So in any event, rest in peace, Brian Howe. Some of us remember you and we won't forget. Whereas I guess the Bad Company organization would rather pretend you don't exist, which is just stupid. It's just stupid.